Yeah, I do have some questions that you raised. You talked to us about the Attorney General's letter, or opinion. And just wanted to go further into that, if you would, just on the difference between that, his opinion, and determination by a court. And I'm asking these questions, no disrespect to the Attorney General. Somehow that came through the prior times I've asked questions. I like the Attorney General. He's a great Attorney General. Have had conversations with him here recently. Does a great job, and certainly respect his opinion and the weight of his opinion. So the questions I'm asking are just to get some clarification from you as our city attorney on the difference between the two. So what would be the difference between the weight of his opinion, or as he even references in a footnote, a court determination of this?
Right. I think the best way to describe it would be, let's say, the level of authority. So courts have held that Attorney General's opinions are not binding on the courts, but they're highly persuasive. Now, certainly in my opinion, counsel can rely upon the opinion of the Attorney General. Now, if counsel does not rely upon that opinion, then I think that the other course of action would be potentially some type of litigation, and that's where a court would decide. They would decide the ownership of the road either through an action initiated by the city or through the applicant, some type of quiet title action. And the decision by the court would have more weight than the AG's opinion. But in my opinion, counsel can rely upon this particular Attorney General's opinion as it relates to the ownership of the land under Garden Ave issue.
Yeah. So in his opinion, I want to go back to why we asked for the letter that's behind us, but there were two questions asked. First one was whether the city of Clearwater, the city, or the Church of Scientology, the church, owns the land underlying a certain section of Garden Avenue in Clearwater, Florida. And the second question is whether the church can petition to vacate that same section without paying fair market value. Really, the first question is kind of the threshold question, is who owns the street or the land underneath the street, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And in that, he says, in short, my answer to the first question is the church, quote, most likely, end of quote, owns the land under the section of Garden Avenue at issue. So he did qualify it a bit, right? It's not complete certainty. He just said most likely.
Correct.
But if a court determined it, it would be conclusive, right? That
I would say that a court's opinion is certainly more binding than an Attorney General's opinion.
and they would make a determination, the court would.
The court would make
Yes
a
or no? Yeah.
determination as to the ownership, the fee simple ownership of the land under Garden, correct?
Okay. So even though we could rely on this opinion, that argument for the public is still out there that your predecessor, Mr. Margolis, advanced on behalf of the citizens, that the citizens, the public owns the street. That argument is still, it's a still reasonable argument based upon his research and your office's research and the memo that you put forward. Even though the Attorney General's opinion is persuasive, there's still a valid argument, which we had briefed, that the city and the citizens own the street.
Right. I would agree that the former city attorney's opinion is still out there. Now, I wasn't actually a part of it, but we do have the Attorney General's opinion, which came out after Mr. Margolis' opinion.
And as I pointed out before, either us or the applicant to vacate, either one could ask a court to decide conclusively, consider the arguments made on behalf of the public, that the public owns the street, it's public property. Either one could ask the court to determine that, correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Anything further on this agenda?
Yeah, if you don't,
Mannino?
don't mind, thank you for asking those questions. I don't mean the city attorney put you on the hot seat, but while you're on the hot seat and answering the question, just for, I don't know, historical clarity, because I don't know the answer either, and you have been in the city attorney's office for a handful of years now, has Clearwater historically requested AG's opinions prior to this?
Yes.
We have? And
I don't know necessarily how many times they have been requested, but a few years ago, I know that there was an opinion requested involving a issue with the CRA, but it came from the city.
okay. And then just for clarity, did we follow that AG opinion, or did we take it further and go to the courts?
No, I believe it was followed.
The opinion was
Yes.
followed? Thank you.
Yes, Councilwoman Tashake.
I think what you were referring to was whether the funding in the CRA downtown could be mixed with the CRA in the Greenwood.
Yeah.
That was the question.
Yeah.
So it was not a question on property, just on the, I guess, the funding, separating the two funding.
Yeah, whether or not there could be one account or two accounts.
Right, okay. Yeah, that was the one I remember too.
Anything further on this agenda? Okay, thank you.